Hello everyone and welcome to the Ticker.com's news channel on YouTube. On this channel, we review stock markets and discuss financial news, market trends, and economic data from Wall Street to Global Street. So let's jump in. U.S. stocks escalated their advances in Friday's trading after comments from Fed Chair Powell suggested a possible rate cut in the future. Fed Chair Jerome Powell suggested that a policy adjustment is needed and a possible rate cut is likely. However, Powell fell short of indicating the amount and timing of future rate cuts. But investors were quick to bid up stocks following Powell's comments and interpreted that the central bank is likely to begin interest rate cuts as early as after the policy meeting on September 19. Despite the market's enthusiasm for possible imminent rate cuts, inflation is still well anchored in the economy and has stalled near the 3% level for several months, above the Fed's target rate of 2%. We begin our review of global economy with key releases in the U.S., Europe, China, India, and Japan. Investors reviewed major revisions in the U.S. labor market data, new and existing home sales, and housing market activities indicators. The labor market added jobs at a much slower than previously thought, and non-farm payrolls additions were sharply lowered by 818,000 over the year ending in March 2024. The U.S. economy added just over revised 2 million net new jobs, indicating 65,000 fewer jobs a month. The sharp downward revision sent a clear signal that the U.S. labor market is not as strong as previously estimated. Sale of new single-family homes in July increased from the previous month and from a year earlier, the Commerce Department reported Friday. Seasonally adjusted single-family house sales in July increased 10.6% from the previous month and rose 5.6% from a year ago to 739,000. A separate report from the government agency showed that building permits, housing starts, and housing completions declined from a year ago in July. Building permits in July declined 7% from a year ago to an annual rate of 1.4 million, and housing completions fell 13% to an annual rate of 1.5 million annual rate. Seasonally adjusted existing home sales declined 1.3% from the previous month in July to an annual rate of 3.9 million units, the National Association of Realtors said Thursday. Home sales increased for the first time in 5 months but declined 2.5% from a year ago. The supply of available homes edged higher in July with more sellers emerging. Home prices continued to move higher even when more new homes were listed for sale. The median sale price increased 4.2% to $422,600, an annual increase in price for the 13th consecutive month. In other major global economic news, Japan's consumer price inflation held steady at 2.8% for the third month in a row in July. Core consumer price inflation accelerated for the third month in a row as well after the government ended energy subsidy. Japan's trade deficit soared after imports rose faster than exports, and the weak yen played a crucial role in increasing the cost of imported energy and minerals. China held steady its two key reference lending rates as widely anticipated after lowering rates in the previous month. In Europe, France's manufacturing climate index improved in August. Germany's private sector activities continued to contract in August, largely because of the weakness in the manufacturing sector. The euro area private sector activities unexpectedly expanded in August because of the sustained growth in the private sector. Let us review key events in global bond, currency, and commodity market last week. The yield on the 10-year U.S. Treasury struggled around 4% for the third week after comments from Fed Chair Powell raised hopes of rate cuts after the next meeting in September. Crude oil prices in Texas fell 2% to below $74.50 a barrel and declined for the third week in a row following reports of weakening demand from China and slowing economic activities in the U.S. Natural gas prices dropped nearly 10% from an 8-month high of 36 euros per megawatt hour as gas storage levels are nearly full in key locations across Europe. The euro surged to a nearly 2-year high, $1.11, after the U.S. Federal Reserve signaled dovish monetary policy outlook. The yen strengthened to 145 against the U.S. dollar after consumer price inflation held steady and core inflation accelerated for the third month in a row in July. We now shift our attention to major stock markets in the US, Europe, and Asia. The S&P 500 index and the Nasdaq Composite extended gains for the third week in a row after Fed Chair Powell said that inflation is slowing and labor market is cooling, setting the stage for a possible rate cut in the near future. European markets advanced for the third consecutive week, tracking gains on Wall Street and riding the rate cut wave. The Nikkei 225 stock average extended gains for the third week in a row amid expectations that hawkish Bank of Japan stance would stabilize the yen and keep supply-driven inflation in check. Hong Kong indices rebounded for the third week in a row in the hope that the Hong Kong Monetary Authority would lower rates following the easing in the U.S. amid mixed earnings from tech companies. Indian market indices extended gains in 10 of the last 12 weeks amid stable economic conditions and an improving earnings outlook. Let us shift our attention to merger deals, market movers, and earnings updates from leading companies last week. Arch Resources and Consol Energy agreed to a $4.2 billion merger deal to form a new coal mining company, Core Natural Resources. Hawaiian Holdings and Alaska Air Group advanced after the U.S. Justice Department approved the $1.9 billion merger of two airlines. Palo Alto Network, the cybersecurity company, reported better-than-expected quarterly results and raised its stock purchase size by $500 million. Hava Group jumped 17%, and the fast casual restaurant company reported better-than-expected quarterly results. Uber Technologies decreased slightly, and General Motors advanced 2.5% after the two companies struck a partnership for the driverless car fleet. Target Corporation jumped 15%, and the retailer reported better-than-expected second quarter results. Macy's declined 9%, and the department store operator reported better-than-expected adjusted earnings. However, the retailer lowered its annual sales outlook. Lowe's Companies, the home improvement retailer, reported mixed quarterly results. Deutsche Bank gained 3% after the German bank settled with over 80% of the plaintiffs in Postbank AG litigation. JD Sports Fashion jumped 7% after the UK-based athletic wear retailer reported organic second quarter sales improved because of the strength in the US and Europe. Swiss Reinsurance Group rose 4%, and the reinsurance company reported an increase in earnings in the first half and confirmed its annual outlook. Alcon, the Swiss pharmaceutical and medical device company for eye care, reported weaker than expected second quarter results. In the week ahead, investors are looking forward to the release of the U.S. durable goods orders to edge slightly lower, metropolitan home prices to continue to rise at an elevated pace of above 5%, and second estimate of the second quarter GDP to confirm the preliminary estimate. Investors are also looking forward to the release of personal income, outlays, and the PCE price index, the alternative measure of inflation. In Europe, investors are looking forward to the release of Germany's second quarter GDP, inflation rates in the euro area, Germany and Spain, jobless rate in Italy, and retail sales in Spain. In Asia, investors are looking forward to the release of India's foreign exchange reserves, Japan's housing starts, unemployment rate, and Tokyo area inflation. China is also set to release its official manufacturing activities survey and industrial profits. You can review daily U.S. and global financial market news, stock movers, earnings releases, SEC filings, and economic updates on ticker.com and 123jump.com. You can find the latest financial books on Rodera.com. Keep up with financial industry events on eventsinamerica.com, review ETF and mutual fund performance and in-depth profiles on tickerfund.com, and review market updates and stock movers in India on niveshak.in. That is all for today, and we will see you next week.